Hello, JJ DiGeronimo here. Today, our topic is progressive charts. If this is something new to you, you will be fascinated to learn that many of the things you're going through are outlined in your progressive chart. And Diane Trimbath is with me today. We did a progressive chart reading a few weeks ago, and I have to say, it was a relief. I learned so much about where I'm going, what is coming up. And Diane has been absolutely magical in this journey for me. So, hi, Diane. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you for having me on. I
Oh, so
appreciate
tell
it.
us. I know it's so great to have you. And it was so great to have a one on one session with you. So, tell me and tell our listeners what is a progressive chart?
Well, first of all, you have your astrology chart, your birth chart, your natal chart. And your natal chart is actually the blueprint of your life. It's based on when you take your first breath, and it pretty much outlines all of your characteristics that you're going to come in this life with. It gives you your opportunities, your challenges, your gifts. It's your roadmap, really. And the progress chart is actually the next 3 months after you're born, and it's pretty much a day, a year for a day. And so what it does is it shows how that blueprint unfolds over the course of your life. And so it shows how you grow, evolve psychologically, maturity wise, and how your life is pretty much uh, steered to move forward. So it's almost like you really want to read them both. And so when you're doing an astrological reading, I typically start with the natal chart because that's what everything plugs into. And then I look at the progress chart, because that shows where you're at, where you've evolved to, and what's coming. And then of course the transits, which are the transiting planets in the sky today, shows what's actually going on now, what's being activated, what's being highlighted. So it's really an interesting look-see.
It is interesting. I was like listening to everything you shared. It was so fascinating. And honestly, I'm at sort of an injunction point. So I know something more is coming, but I just wasn't not sure. And to get that validation through the progressive chart reading with you was instrumental. So let me just back up a bit. So for listeners, your natal chart is your birth chart. It is based on the time, the date, and the location you were born. And then you're saying, Diane, your progressive chart is the first 3 months that you're living, that then basically is a projection of how your life is likely to unfold based on your decisions, based on your alignment, but that you can see that for the entirety of your lifetime.
Exactly. And it shows the moon phases as you evolve, because typically if we live a normal lifespan, we typically have 3 lunar cycles, progressed wise, each one lasting roughly 28 years. It also shows as planets retrograde in the chart, all of a sudden your life may change, because the planet has retrograded. Many times that's when people decide it's an internal function. Many people decide to write at that time or whatever the planet may be. It also shows when planets change signs. And so, your personality, you may be born a Cancer, and when your sun progresses into Leo, all of a sudden you become much more vibrant, outgoing, leadership oriented, in front of people. And you may not understand why, but it's because your chart has progressed. It's interesting, really interesting.
It is interesting. And I feel like, so many of us do the Myers-Briggs or the Strength Finders. And I always tell women, like, and men, you should you should see what your birth chart looks like and then meet with somebody to kind of talk about what is unfolding for you. Because sometimes when you're in life's biggest transitions, you feel very alone and you often getting a little insight like you're on the right track, or in 3 months, this is going to happen for you, or this is what the next year looks like for you, can be incredibly reassuring.
It really is. It really is. And not only because I do readings for individuals because, that's who we are. But many times it involves our work, our marriage, our family, our children, our relationships. And I also do readings for businesses because businesses and the cycles of businesses go through the same cycles as we do as individuals, because it's really all based on the birth chart when the entity came into existence, into the world. So businesses progress as well. It's
They do.
fascinating.
So magical. So magical. And you know what I love, Diane, is that you have your own business. You're in digital marketing. You've been doing that for 3 decades. So you are in touch with businesses and how they communicate with the world. And you do this in addition to that. So how long have you been into the birth chart? How long have you been doing the progressive chart? And how did it come to fruition for you to find this gift?
Well, it's interesting because they somewhat came into existence hand in hand. My astrology and the study of astrology came out of my personal interests, which were, they started with metaphysical pursuits, reading, learning, developing, researching all types of personal interests I had, ancient civilizations. I went into yoga and I went to spiritual practices. And I at the Ballywick, and out of all that study came the astrology, and then I started studying the astrology. But it wasn't until after I was probably 30, and I still then ran my business, which I've been running for 36 years, and the astrology now I'm on a Saturn return with it. So I've had the astrology practice going for 30 years. So I'm kind of like a two-fisted individual here.
I think many of us know that because most of us, I feel like, start doing our gifts off the side of our desk. Some make it our main work, but many have another full-time job. Like I've interviewed doctors and engineers, architects, where they have a job and then they have their passion project, their love, their gifts that they do. And sometimes that interconnects with their customers and sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly. But so living the two worlds has really given me an insight as to both realities, because I'm constantly pulled into both. And I understand, where people are coming from. But the astrology really is such a wonderful tool. And, once I started going down the rabbit hole and learning about astrology, I couldn't give it up. It's unending. And once you start learning about it, it's fascinating. You're looking at a chart which has all these little funny symbols on it, and they all have meaning. The cosmos is actually it's an environment that we're all born into, but it actually has a language and a story, and we all are in sync with it. We evolve and live our lives within it, and we're in sync with all the planets and the planetary movements that are going on. And we don't realize it because, it's unconscious for the most part. But once you start to realize these things, it's just fascinating.
The thing I love about my birth chart and my progressive is I think as a woman, sometimes I feel bad for who I am or what I say or what's important to me. I don't know if that's a woman thing or not. And I feel like once I learned about my birth chart, which was like maybe I really got into it 7 years ago and learned astrology myself, it was like, this is who I am. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to apologize. Like, I have my son in the eighth house. I like to talk about deep shit. Like, I'm not a surface talker, you know, and I'd feel bad sometimes. I go to parties and I'm like, oh my gosh, if one more person talks about a Target run, I'm going to be like, "Phew, I want to talk about deep stuff. I want to solve problems. I want to get into the nitty gritty of what people are going through." And once I saw it in my birth chart, I was like, oh, okay, this is me. And I love to travel. So my moon is in my ninth house or in Sagittarius. So it gave me permission to lean more into who I am and stop feeling like if I didn't fit into a conversation or a situation, not to beat myself up, to just realize like this is who I am.
Exactly, exactly. I also have an eighth house sun, so I can understand exactly where you're coming from. Um, but that's our blueprint. That's our roadmap. That's why we came here. We basically came here to have these experiences so we could learn and grow. And there's nothing to feel bad about because we're actually here to understand, how to get from point A to point B. And the thing is that you don't always learn how to do it right the first time. And
Yes.
and that's where Saturn comes in because if you don't, you're going to keep pounding your head against the wall. And that's actually one of the reasons why I went into astrology, because I kept saying to myself, why does this always happen to me? But when you realize that, through Saturn's gates, once you accomplish something, then you move on to the next level. And that's a Saturn quality. But there's nothing wrong with the chart at all. And it actually helps validate what you're going through. And so you don't feel like you're going insane, or you don't feel like the world's against you. It actually helps validate what exactly is going on. And a lot of the time, people will ask me, well, when will this begin? When will this end? How long will this last? And this chart actually can offer that guidance because it's actually the cosmic timing. It's all based around the movement of the planets, which are all mechanized movements, predictable movements. It's a fascinating tool.
It is fascinating, and I feel like it has given me permission, it has given me grace, and it has given me inner peace, and I think I just am always like, "Why not just check it out?" In fact, I gift this as soon as I had my reading, I gifted it to 2 other people because I feel like when you see your progressive chart, what is coming up for you, what are you leaving behind, what you may be kind of materializing or creating, it was so powerful. So I know you do one-on-one readings, so that's amazing. And all your links are below for anyone who's listening is like, I need a progressive chart reading. I think it's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself or give to somebody else. And I love that, Diane, not only do you do astrology, but you teach astrology too. And so you're a certified professional astrologer, level 4, and you also teach online through the Astro College in Australia. And I feel like somebody who knows it and teaches it, what a valuable contact to have in your database for people that are having a business or having a shift, or honestly just not understanding where they belong right now.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Yes, I've been teaching for quite a while now, probably since 2017. I started with the Astro College. And I also have periodic online lectures, seminars. I have a weekly or biweekly class that's based on what in the world is going on. And so we actually look at the world charts to see what's going on in the world from an astrological lens. And various other events that are available, which they're all on my website. If anyone's interested in seeing or learning more about what astrology has to offer, we can certainly go down that road. Um, are you here, JJ? I think I've lost JJ.
I'm here, and I just was wondering, if you could just touch on in the last few minutes, so many of us are seeing on our social feeds, maybe from our friends, that like what is happening right now in the sky, right? They're talking about this basket, about the shifting of the planets. We're coming out of Mercury retrograde. So, can you just give some insights to us about, what does this mean to you?
Oh my goodness, we are in such a tremendous time right now in the world. So many things have happened. In February, we had a great conjunction between Saturn and Neptune, which brought in for everyone a brand new beginning to a 36-year cycle. So wherever people have 0 degrees Aries, 1 degrees Aries, or Aries in general in their birth charts, that is the area of life that is going to start now. It's a brand new beginning. It's a 36-year cycle. But we've also got the outer planets, which are all 60 degrees apart, which is unheard of because, as I mentioned before, the planets all have their systematic movements, and for them all to align at the same time at this point in time has not happened for thousands of years. So we're really at a rebirth time on this planet. I think we're going to be experiencing many things that we've never experienced before. I think we're going to learn about who we are, where we came from I'm even going to say an archaeological point of view, things we have not known. We've got all AI coming in, which is something we've never really experienced before. And that's going to bring us into totally new realms. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get information about off-planet entities coming in real soon too. It's just a tremendous turning point in the history of Earth at this point with these planetary changes. And so the basket is that it's a time where it's a turning point in human consciousness is basically what it is. You may be feeling it in your own life. Interests that you've had in the past, they just don't interest you anymore. You're going to be stimulated in new directions. You're going to be aligning with new people, finding new tribes. It's time for all of us to move on to the next leg of our life. And that's all happening this year, next year. We've been preparing for it for the last 2 years. In the transitionary point, living between the past and the present, but now it's all present moving forward. So we've also got the eclipses coming in soon in August, which are all going to propel us in. And eclipses typically bring in, eclipses move us forward. If we're resisting things or not, eclipses come in and it's like a heightened full moon or new moon on steroids, and they move us forward, especially if they're triggering aspects in our charts. Those are going to be in Pisces and Leo. Those areas of your charts, if you know your charts, are going to be activated by the eclipses. And this year, every planet changed signs. So nothing is stable this year. Every planet changed signs, which again is not normal. So we're really living in a new era. We're starting a new conscious era.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am thrilled to be right here, right now. I'm so excited to be a human on this planet. There's so many souls that want to be here right now during this huge shift. And I'm super glad that I got my spot and that I get to speak with so many light workers, healers, and mystics like yourself that are guiding us through this journey, are coming together to work together to reassure the people that are unsure that this is good, things are good. And so if you're listening and if you want to know what's happening in your chart or what's on the horizon for you, I hope you reach out to Diane. All her links are below. Diane, tell us what's on the horizon for you.
What's on the horizon for me? Well, I've got a couple conferences that I'll be talking at, which are coming in. I'm going to be talking about the eclipses, actually, that I just mentioned. And that is, I've got Monday, August 10th online through Shady Brook. And that you can find all this on my website, diana@dematrix.net. or actually the website is dematrix.net. But that's an online. It's all about the eclipses coming up this August. I'll be also be presenting that material in Lilydale, New York in August 27th in person. There is a metaphysical, holistical, and mystical expo in Erie, PA, which is Saturday and Sunday, August 15th and 16th. And I'll be speaking there on the Aquarian Age. And also I'll be part of a panel talking about how is this changing all of us, consciously, unconsciously. What do these changes mean? Over 1,000 people will be at this conference. And then I'll be speaking in Chicago at the UAC conference, United Astrology Conference, and that is Sunday, September 6th. But the conference actually goes September 3rd through September 9th. I'll be speaking about the pandemics and what is the astrological signature that brings forth a pandemic at the times that they come in on the planet, which is interesting. So those are a few of the things I've got cooking.
That sounds fantastic. So we'll add some of those to the Together We See community. For those of you listening, thank you so much for joining. I hope you reach out to Diane. I hope you attend some of her workshops in person or online. And Diane, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for reading my chart and giving me such reassurance for what's ahead.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and it's wonderful experience. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. I feel so grateful for all the beautiful souls that cross my path and the ones that I can share with all of you. I feel so blessed for the information that comes our way. And I really encourage you to invest in yourself any way you can. If this resonates with you, invest in yourself, give it as a gift, and do whatever you need to do to align with the energy that makes you feel good and allows you the space to be the best version of yourself. So with that, thank you so much for participating, listening, and joining. Have a great day.
Thank you.